Yes, I mean, it's one of those things with that song in particular. I felt if I was going to tell the story, I'd probably just keep it to the facts. You know what I mean?
When did you make the decision to tell the story?
Well, I mean, the whole thing. I had a bad relationship with my father growing up, and then about 5 years ago, my dad came out as trans and is now Miranda, and that was at the time it was quite. I suppose surprising would be the word. I didn't really have an inkling, but then we didn't really talk, so perhaps wouldn't be the person who would have had an inkling. You know, I went with it, obviously, and beautifully, we now have a relationship with each other, which is new. So.
What does he think of the music? What does he think of the song?
I think she enjoys the song.
Sorry, I apologise. I apologise.
You know what? It's all good.
You still call her dad?
I use the word dad because she is fine with that. That's what she's comfortable with.
We're all learning, so I do apologise.
Well, indeed. Do you know what I mean? But yeah, I think she enjoyed the song. I think she likes the limelight.
Yeah.
If I'm honest with you.
And it's the first thing we spoke to you about.
Well, yes, exactly.
So she'll be pleased with that
yeah,
too.
exactly. Yeah.
And this is just one part of a. You are opening yourself up, aren't you? I mean,
absolutely.
like never before. Is that
fair?
I
think that's fair. I mean, I've written sort of autobiographically in the past, but I mean, first of all, I'm a little bit older now, but also, like everybody else, I had quite a lot of time sitting around to think about things and not doing very much else because of lockdown and all that. So what started as a sort of a gentle step in that direction became a headlong sprint.
And that thinking goes back to your childhood and you know...
Yeah, I mean, well, I sort of haven't really discussed my childhood very much in public prior to this. This is my 9th album, so...
What kept you?
Well, because I didn't have the best time, to be honest, you know what I mean? So, there's something about, I just turned 40, and there's a little bit more kind of security.
That's you.
That is me and my dad, yes, about 1,000 years ago, I'm going to say. Yeah.
You're younger than both of us, Frank, so...
right, OK.
So, you're not that old.
I'll rein that in, shall I?
But you're talking about you didn't have the best time. I mean,
sure.
You were sent to boarding school when you were quite young.
Yeah, when I was 8 years old, which is one of those things where, at the time, it was just how it was. You know, it wasn't like a debate or a question or anything like that. And it was only really when my sister's kids started turning 8 years old, I was like, oh, wow, like, really? That's pretty young. And that sort of makes you reevaluate things. I mean, obviously, I understand that my parents had their system of values and their aspirations and all the rest of it, but I didn't enjoy the experience very much.
Talk to me about Scott.
Scott Hutchison, the singer of Fright and Rabbit, he was a dear friend of mine, and our friendship was built on the fact that there's not that many people who do exactly what I do for a living. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, even the guys in my band who I love, it's not quite the same. So we had this kind of bond, loved them to pieces, good friends for a long time. Scott took his own life in 2018, which was heartbreaking, remains heartbreaking. Yeah, a song for him sort of arrived, and it's a song about suicide, obviously, and grieving, but it's also a celebration of my friend, because he was amazing.
That's the thing about music. I mean, I don't want your latest album to kind of sound like it's all miserable and dreary and kind of like you have to sit in a dark room and sob to it. Because
there's some joy in there as well.
Yeah,
there is some joy.
There is joy in it.
Pumping.
And that's what music is, isn't
sure,
it?
Yeah. I mean,
you know, you're creating something beautiful and putting stories to music.
Well, thank you very much. That's very kind. But yeah, no, I mean, that's the idea. You know, that life is complex. There's a range of emotions in all subjects, and that song in particular, you know, there's a weird sense of acceptance in there as well, which is quite a challenging thing when you think about things like suicide. Which is a weird thing to say in album 9. Not many people peak on album 9.
But I mean, you're challenging the #1.
Yeah, we are. I mean, I'd need to touch some wood immediately and sort of not count any chickens.
It weren't for COVID. It weren't for COVID.
I mean, we're in the running. We won't know for sure until this evening, I think. But of course, every little helps if anybody wants to get involved. It would be an interesting and exciting thing to me. You know, when you're 9 albums in, I feel duty bound to check that I'm not just doing it for the sake of it, and I'm not just repeating myself and all that kind of thing. And I think I'm in the clear on that on this one, and we might do it.
Good man.
I know you had a late night last night because you were working, and thank you for coming in on
the show. It's my pleasure. I mean, it's more my tour manager who had to drive me here to Manchester from London.
Shout out.
Through that weather as well.
I know. Shout out to the crew.
There you go.
As always.
Treat them well.
Yes.
Frank Turner, thank you very much indeed. Frank's new album, Frank Turner Hardcore, is out now, as he just said.